Hi guys, welcome back or welcome if you're new. My name is Tiana and I'm the maker behind Also Stitched, and today we have a pattern review. I'm gonna talk about the bundle that I bought during Black Friday sales, but I have to tell you that at the moment I'm looking this on Etsy. This pattern is no longer available as a bundle. I assume it was available only during Black Friday sales. At the moment it's only available individual per plushie. So this is the bundle that I bought. It is from Hugurumi Toys. During Black Friday sales, I only paid 33 Australian dollars for this pattern, which was fairly cheap. You get 5 plushies for this. And at the moment on her Etsy shop, one plushie is $12. I mean, that is a lot. I'm not gonna lie, that is a lot. But in my opinion, these plushies are worth the price because I'm gonna go into details about each one of them. They are very detailed and all the clothing parts are removable and they are just adorable. Stay tuned because I will be going into details about every single one of them and explaining the process and what I liked or didn't like about them. But in general, yes, these plushies are a bit more pricier at the moment, but I can also see that she has a sale. When you grab 8 patterns, you can get 50% off. So if you're after this bundle, you only need to add 3 more to get 50% for all of them. That is a bargain. So you can just go for that, for the sale, or you can check her Patreon. I know she has a Patreon. I didn't check her benefits of joining the Patreon because I wasn't interested. I was pretty much interested in this bundle. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that is very cute. This year, I want to make plushies that are different to what we see on a daily basis. I don't want to be focused on market prep friendly plushies. I want to be focused on very detailed plushies that are time consuming, but also they make your stall look different from the others. Let's face it, we are pretty much watching the same crocheters and YouTubers all over the social media, and everyone keeps making the same plushies all over and over again. And I'm prepping for a big con this year that I have not announced yet and I don't plan for next couple of months, but it's gonna be bigger than my last year's one and I need a lot. I need a lot to prepare and I want to be different. Even last con that I did, I was pretty much different to everyone else and I think that's the reason I did good, but at the same time I want to be even more different. That's why I was looking into these plushies and they're amazing. This designer is really worth the hype and attention to details, and as you can see just from the photo, all the plushies that you see on her photo, they look exactly the same as I did them. So I find that if you can replicate the plushie the same way as the designer did, that is just an amazing pattern. So let's start with one by one. I'm gonna start with my least favorite to my most favorite. It has nothing to do with pattern, it is just my preference to the style or the plushie or the animal we are creating, that's all. Also the plushies that are gonna sell least to most. I can be wrong about this, we'll see when I take them to my markets, but at the same time it is also what I enjoyed working least to most. Also, I have patterns here in front of me just to remind myself of what was I doing, because I made these plushies 2 weeks ago, so they're not fresh in my memory and I need to go through the patterns just to remind myself. So the first one, or my least favorite one, is the Crocodile. Nothing wrong with him, he ended up being so cute, honestly. I went for a bit different colors than she did just because when I was creating all of these plushies, all 5 of them, I wanted them to have all the different colors. I didn't want to repeat any of the colors. At the moment I'm having over 110 skeins of Hobby Toucan yarn and some of the colors I'm not using as much as some other colors, and I wanted to find plushies that can incorporate a lot of my colors so that I can go through them. That's why every single plushie has a different color. The plushie in her photo is more like pastel light vibes, but I wanted more like proper crocodile colors just because I think that's what the boys would look for. So for him, I just went with dark green with some yellow details and orange overalls, and he is so cute. All the clothing parts are removable, but that's not what I'm gonna do in this video because I'll be honest with you guys. All of the plushies are made in a chenille yarn like Hobby Toucan, Parfait Chunky and things like that. And if you have ever worked with those yarn, you know that they shed a lot, which is not my problem. I don't mind yarn shedding. I don't have issues sewing with this yarn. I think the chenille yarn is the best yarn for plushies like this, but at the same time it's not very durable. And I know that with time this loop for the button is gonna wear because the fluff is just gonna disappear. So I'm not gonna even market these plushies with attention for the clothes to be removed. I'm gonna maybe say it if I know that it's like someone older enough that it's not gonna play with it. It's just gonna display it. But if it's a kid, I don't want them to play with this. I don't want them to remove clothes because this is not gonna last very long. So with Crocodile, you start with the muzzle. The muzzle is made out of two pieces. You crochet the yellow part and you crochet the green part. After that, you crochet arms and tail. This is just the surface crochet. Then you start with the legs. They are crocheted together after with a chain in between, and after the leg you continue with the body. There is a full color change in the body. You can see inside his overalls this whole part is a color change. Later on the arms are crocheted in, and after that, the good thing is when it comes to face shaping and putting everything to a face, you're doing that before you finish the head. She wants you to sew the yellow part to the yellow color of the head, then you are sewing the green part to the head and then also to the yellow part of the muzzle. So it is a very long sewing process, but it's nothing hard. I don't have issues with sewing. I actually enjoy sewing. It's very relaxing for me. And after you have done this, you put the eyes. She also asks you to do the embroidery while the head is not stuffed. After that, you close the head off and surface crochet these spikes on. That is pretty much it when it comes to the body of the crocodile. And in the end, overalls are done separately. Just like the legs, you start with one foot, make another foot, connect with the chain, crochet in the round. This is just the flat crocheting, and then with the straps you are attaching yarn and crocheting the straps, and in the end sewing the buttons. It is very much easy and straightforward. When it comes to the patterns are beginner friendly, very detailed, with so many tips, with beautiful photos, beautiful attention to details, and I cannot rave more about these patterns. All 5 patterns have the exact same layout. So once you make one plushie, you're pretty much good to go with all 5 of them because the layout is the same. You're just changing the details on the clothing, on the face features and things like that. If you're a beginner and this might look overwhelming for you when you open this pattern, just start from the beginning and follow the instructions. Don't even bother reading through the pattern, just follow her instructions because they are very beginner friendly. There's nothing here that beginner cannot do. Honestly guys, it's really easy and very detailed focused with so many nice tips. She is telling you before the round you're about to crochet, if there is something important happening in that round, she is noting that in a tip that is before that line and warning you, in this round we will be doing this, pay attention to this, don't forget about this. Amazing. I really love working through these patterns and I recommend them all. Amazing, just amazing. When it comes to market prep or doing these plushies for markets, they're definitely not market prep friendly. I didn't even want to time myself for these plushies because I knew they would take a long time. I was making only one plushie a day and I was done for the day because it's a lot. It's very overwhelming, meaning that they take a long time. There's so many pieces. There's so many pieces that had to be sewn on. Attention to details. And this is not me saying anything bad about that. Just so you know that they do do take a couple of hours. When I say couple of hours, over 4 or 5 hours definitely. I'm not a fast crocheter. When I crochet, I just crochet casually. I'm watching YouTube, I'm picking up my phone hundreds times in the middle of the process, I'm being distracted. So yes, that's why it takes whole day, and that's my problem. But if I were to sit and time myself, they would probably take between 3 or 4 hours because of all the details. All of them have 25 mil eyes, and they are all sinker eyes, and they fit perfectly. Let me double check what she is suggesting in her patterns. She's suggesting 20 mil eyes, so I actually went a bit bigger, and I love them. They look amazing. But also she is using chenille yarn, same as me, but she is using 4.5 mil hook, so I assume her plushies are a bit smaller. That's why my 25 mil eyes are fitting better, because I'm using 5 mil hook. So my plushies are a bit bigger, and 25 mil is the perfect to my proportion of the plushie. So the reason this is on my least favorite is just the character, the crocodile. I don't know, I don't sell a lot of crocodiles, I only had small ones, but I'm curious to see how this will go on markets. I'm curious to see if it will catch attention of boys. Usually girls are the ones who buy more plushies than boys, but we'll see. I do think this would be a cute plushie for boys, so I'll just see and test it out. My second least favorite would be unicorn, just because I'm not amazed about it. I know a lot of people, other YouTubers have made this one, but I don't know, maybe it's because this hood took a long time, because it is a proper big hood that you can take off, and the reason my button is not buttoned up is because I'm a firm stuffer and I overstuff the body, and that's why I cannot fit the hoodie. And also you can tell that my head is very tall compared to her photos. Her bangs are touching the muzzle, and actually she instructs you in the pattern to sew the bangs here in the middle of the muzzle, just so they are not going over eyes, because like I said, they are touching muzzle in her pattern and they would go over the eyes. That's why she instructs you to sew the bangs in the middle of the eyes. I didn't have to do that because mine are pretty much up and they are not in the way of the eyes, and that's because I overstuffed my head, and oh well, that's a mine problem, because I do stuff my plushies firmly, and I forgot when I was doing this that I have to put not just the body, I have to put hood over the head, and that was a bit too much. That's why the bangs are not banging as on her photo, but oh well. The same process, you're doing all the parts separately, you are sewing ears separately, horn, you're doing all these parts, you're doing all these parts separately, muzzle is sewn on, arms, and then you start from the body and work everything up. The only part that is crocheted in are arms, everything else is sewn on. I can't even say if this took the most time, I don't think so. I don't know, it's just not my favorite. Nothing to do with the pattern, just the character. It's not my favorite. I can button this up, but I don't want to, because I know chenille yarn again is gonna fray over time and I don't want it to break. Also, I did 25 mil eyes on this one. I put the blue eyes, so every single one of them has a different eye color. It's pretty much the same process, it is just not my favorite. When it comes to these plushies and would I remake them, the answer is yes, but probably not on a weekly basis. For example, if I were to take all 5 of them on the market and sold 3 of them, I wouldn't see myself making them until my next market, just because how time consuming they are, and I would get bored, honestly. They took so many hours that if I have to make them as often as they might sell, I would get bored with making them. If they do sell before my con, I will definitely remake all of them for my con, because together all 5 of them look so special and look amazing, and they would be a great showstopper. So if I sell any of them before my con, I will be remaking them. So yeah, that would be the second one. The last 3 are definitely my favorites, and I would totally remake them as they are selling, just because I do see these ones selling because they are so different to anything that you see on the markets, but at the same time this one especially was so time consuming, and that is just because I did embroider his cape and hat. In her pattern she is doing stars as felt stars and then she is gluing them on. I wasn't bothered to pull out my Cricut to cut the stars, so I did embroider the stars, and this took forever, honestly. I think if this one sells pretty quickly, that for my next one I will definitely pull out the Cricut and cut felt, and I will probably cut 3 times, 4 times more, just so I have somewhere separate where I can just pull the stars out and glue them quickly, because this was very time consuming just embroidering all these stars. But he is so cute. Look at this face. Look at the details and his magic wand. So this is all done separately. In the pattern she doesn't tell you to sew this on his hand, but I did sew it on his hand because I feel like I would lose it if I didn't do so. Hat is removable, cape is removable. Process is pretty much the same. Ears are sewn on, arms are crocheted in, and that's it. He doesn't have, and the tail is crocheted in. There is not a lot of pieces to him, but the cape and hat took a long time, and he is so cute. As you can see, I did him in a gray just because, like I mentioned, I wanted to have all the different colors for all the plushies. He is so cute. He is amazing. Cats, anything cats, I feel like it's selling on the markets, and Wizard Cat is so cute. So cute. I did a deep blue eyes to match the hat. I don't know, just the muzzle. Look at the muzzle. They all have face shaping. I didn't mention that. Actually, not all of them, but some of them have face shaping, and you can tell he has face shaping here. It is just the attention to details, and if this is not the cutest wizard you have seen, come on, guys. I'm not gonna lie, he was a lot of work, but I would totally do this one again because I do see this one selling. When it comes to pricing, wow, that is my next problem I have. I honestly don't know how to price them because they took so many hours, and if I were to go by my hourly wage, they would have to be over $100. But at the same time, they are so tiny. Look how small they are. And I'm not the type of person who would make a plushie like this in Bernat blanket just to get a jumbo plushie out of it, to get more money for it. That's not my style. I do prefer them this small and this cute, and of course I will have to charge less. I was thinking around $75 the starting price, and see how the customers react to this. Let me be honest with you, my duck with a floaty. That duck with a floaty is a lot of work just because the floaty is like you're almost crocheting another plushie. And when I started making that one, my first price was $65, and I was like, if it sells quickly, I'm just gonna bump up the price because it all comes down to the supply and demand. If you cannot keep up your plushies in stock, you need to bump up the prices because that's what the supply and demand is. And after my first sale, it went on the first market, and for the next one, I put the price to $68, and for the next one, I put the price to $70, and I was like, how much do I have to go up to prevent this guy to sell out after each market? Because $70 was already too high for me. I couldn't believe that people were actually paying $70. That duck with the float is pretty much similar size to these guys, and if I got $70 for that, I'm sure I'm gonna get $75 for these just because of all the details. And I don't know, I'm thinking $75 at the moment. That still might sound that I'm underselling myself just because for the hours that took to make this guy, but they're small, and I feel like $75 will be the perfect middle ground between not underselling myself and not overpricing him for how small all these plushies are. And also I'm preparing for the con, so I know that my prices for the con could easily be a couple of dollars more than for my uni markets. This year the only markets that I will be doing are my uni markets just because they are very easy for me. I do suffer social anxiety and I do suffer a lot of sensory overloads, and when I'm doing markets by myself, uni markets are the only markets I can do by myself just because they are very low sensory. overload for me. There is no kids, there is no dogs, there is no high traffic, there is not a lot happening, but at the same time I can get a lot of sales in a very short period of time while the students are out for lunch. And that's why I love that market, even though it's long hours, but for me it is perfect because I suffer a lot through my anxiety. But oh well, let's go back to these guys. This one takes the third prize from me, and let's go to the second. This would be my second, and I had hard time choosing between her and the wizard cat, just because that cat is like amazing, but at the same time she is cuteness overload, and she is very simple. I have to say, out of all of them, she was the easiest to make. She is so cute. Look at her. I mean, don't be fooled by the easy part, because her muzzle is almost her head size. So you're doing the muzzle first, that you're sewing it on the head after. She has 2 ears and a bow, and her tutu dress, it's just adorable. I would say that definitely she was the quickest make. And for me, she is just so cute. I do see her selling just because little girls are obsessed with anything in tutus, and I hope she will sell. But at the same time, that $75 price tag could kill the sales on her, because she doesn't look as special as this guy to justify the $75 price tag. So I'm actually thinking starting with the same price tag for all of them, and then if I notice that, for example, she or the Crocodile are not selling as good or at all, probably because of the price tag, I might lower her down. For example, I wouldn't mind selling her for $65. I might actually put that price from the start. I will decide. I think by the time you're watching this, I might have all of these guys on my website. By the way, my website is live, and all these plushies will be available on my website. If you would like to purchase them, feel free. So I might price her $65, and then if it happens that she's selling very fast because she is cheaper, I will bump the price. So again, supply and demand. That's how it works. One of the other reasons that she is simple is because only 2 colors. All of the others had so many colors, especially the unicorn. The unicorn had 7 colors. That's 7 colors, and she was only 2. That's why she was my favorite, because it's only 2 colors, and look how cute she is. I don't know, I love her. She's adorable. And that tutu dress, all of them have tails, all of them have a lot of attention to details. She is at the second place. And I know you can guess what comes at the first place. It's the fox. It is by far the cutest fox I have ever seen, guys. This one was the most enjoyable plushie I have ever made, and he was a lot. I'm not gonna lie, he was a lot, and I would make him again. I would 100% make him weekly if he would sell weekly. My only problem is gonna be this color. This is the special color I choose for him. It is like a reddish orange, and I only have 2 skeins left. It is the color I wasn't using the most because I never knew what I want to make with it. And now that I made him, I'm just gonna save it for him. But when I ran out of this, I won't be able to get this color, and I am honestly scared. What am I gonna match with Hobby Token once I ran out of some of the colors? Because I assume Parfait Chunky would be the closest that will work with Hobby Token, but we'll see. That's something I will have to decide in the future, because Hobby Token is no longer available in Australia. But let's talk about him. Let's go into details. Look at this cuteness overload. I did green eyes for him. I did mustard scarf. His mushroom bag. And his head has a pom-pom. Come on, guys, look at this pom-pom. I'm not gonna lie, he was a lot of work. Just look at his ears. There is a 3 color change just on ears. There is a color change on his tail. You do the muzzle up front. The muzzle also has 2 colors, and then you surface crochet the nose. It is done separately, and then you're sewing it on. And bag, I'm not sure if I will be able to show you, but bag, you can lift the mushroom top. Let me show you. You can lift the mushroom top and he can open the bag. I'm not sure if I'm gonna let the customers know that, because there is a huge mess in this bag, because there were so many ends to weave it and hide. So all of the ends from the brown strap and from the bottom of the bag are hidden and jumbled inside of his bag. But it is a great detail. The bag can be open and he can actually use his bag. This is the cutest fox ever. And I love the colors. I love everything about this guy. And if he sells, I will be remaking him as long as I have this color, or I will have to search for a new color, new brand of yarn that will work with my hobby toucan, because I still have, like I said, 110 skeins of hobby toucan and I love it. I love working with chenille yarn more than blanket yarn, just because you can go so much into details, and chenille yarns in general have a lot of color variation. If you have ever worked with Parfait Chunky, then you know they have over 70 colors. I think Hobby Toucan has around 30 or 40. I haven't checked their website for a very long time, and they are fairly cheap. For example, one skein of Hobby Toucan, when I was buying it from Denmark, it cost me around $5.20, and if you were to buy Parfait Chunky today in Australia, it costs around $9 or $10, which is almost double the price. And Hobby Toucan as a chenille yarn, it has 120 meters per skein, and it goes a long way. You actually need only one skein to create a whole plushie like this, which is not a lot of materials put in this. It's less than $5 materials that I have used for this plushie, and I do see myself selling this guy for $75, just because he is so detailed and he took so much time just creating this head, pom-pom, triple color change ears, muzzle, scarf. This is a long scarf. I'm not sure if you can tell. It goes twice around his neck, so this scarf is pretty long. And this bag, I mean, a lot of work. These plushies are a lot of work, but they are really worth, because I have not seen anyone making this, and they are so cute. They are adorable, and my first market is gonna be in March, and I can't wait for people to see all the new plushies that I made, and I'm curious to see how they're gonna react to all these new things. I'm just so ready for the market season and to showcase all these new makes, because they are worth, guys. All of these are worth. So yeah, that is a wrap up of this pattern bundle review. Even though it is no longer sold as bundle, I would suggest just go and buy 8 patterns and grab a 50% off, because it's worth. It's definitely worth. If there is one that you need, it's this one. Okay, this one you definitely need. There's no way no one would find this not cute. It is the cutest fox I have ever seen, and you need this one. So once again, my goal for this year is really to be different, to stood out from all the other stall holders. At my last con, I mentioned that there were 14 crocheters. 14 crocheters, guys. And let me tell you, pretty much they're all doing the same things. There were a couple of us that were different, but most of the time people are doing the same things. And even if you go to the monthly markets, they're all doing the same things, and they are selling things for like $5, $10 and underselling themselves, not making any difference to the crochet community. So if there is anything that you would like to be different this year, try with these plushies, because they will definitely separate you from all the other crocheters that are out there in the world, because the possibilities are just endless. And I enjoyed making these plushies, and I can't wait to see what the customers will react to these plushies. And that is it. That is my pattern review or bundle review from Hugurumi Toys, and I will have all the patterns linked down below. Go check her Etsy. Enjoy making this. And with all of that, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting.